Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending our webinar sponsored by Dynamix. Today, I'm going to be your featured speaker. My name is Kurt Putman. I'm a service desk analyst for Dynamix in North America. Today, our webinar is going to be about cybersecurity tips for any work environment. There's a lot going on in the world of cybersecurity today. There can always be certain threats present. When clicking on a bad link in an email or when you download from unknown sources, there can always be an issue. With this webinar, we want to raise awareness and explain the different types of cyber attacks and give you some useful tips and tricks on how to prevent these attacks from happening, whether you're working from home or in your office. And with the current situation in today's environment, most of our homes are our office. In this webinar, we're going to cover types of cyber attacks, solutions for cyber attacks, limit human error, and tips for your business. And when we talk about limit human error, we're talking about eliminating those little things that we do all the time that make us vulnerable. What we're not going to cover in this webinar is to educate our customer on types of ongoing cybersecurity issues. While we have products and services that protect you from everything on this webinar, you will not hear about them today. We'll follow up with each participant post-webinar to ensure that you and your company have proper security measures in place. Some of the things we're going to discuss today are APT, which is Advanced Persistent Threats, DDoS, inside attacks, malware, password attacks, phishing, ransomware, and zero-day attacks. For the first one we want to talk about are the APT, which stands for Advanced Persistent Threats. These are targeted attacks where a hacker breaks into a network in multiple steps to avoid being detected. Once they are in, they will plunder your data. If a breach is detected and repaired, the hacker may have already secured other routes into the system, allowing them to continue stealing sensitive company data. Dynamix can protect you at the firewall level for this form of attack. DDoS attacks is short for distributed denial of service. It's probably one of the most familiar attacks that we see nowadays. DDoS attacks are organized attacks where hackers intentionally overload servers with requests until the servers are not able to process any more traffic and they shut down. The main targets are mostly website servers and network and application resources. At Dynamix, we can help protect our customers against these DDoS attacks with our managed security services. Now, one of the other types of attacks is inside attacks. Inside attacks are attacks from within the company. These can occur when someone with administrative rights will misuse their privileges to collect sensitive company data. Advanced software is available to proactively stop and alert your support team of these risks. The next one we want to talk about is malware. Malware is a short term for malicious software. Malware is software that is placed on the computer of the targeted with the intention to cause damage or gain access. Types of malware include viruses, worms, ransomware, and spyware. Malware can penetrate your computer with pretty much everything you download, from the web that lacks quality checks or comes from unfamiliar sources. This includes software downloads, music downloads, email attachments, and more. Newer revived forms of malware are stegbots and crypto mining bots. Stegbots use a technique called stenography. This technique is used to hide code in the images. Hackers can use stenography to compromise devices by hosting an image on a website or by sending an image via email. As we share a lot of images on social media, steg bots are gaining popularity on social media platforms. Just like most malware, crypto mining bots gain control of computers by tricking users into opening infected emails, attachments, or visiting suspicious websites. Once they have access to your computer, this type of malware will function to use computers' processing powers to mine cryptocurrency without you knowing about it. At Dynamix, we have advanced software available to protect you against this form of malware. And then one of the next ones we have is password attacks. I'm sure we all hear about this on a daily, about how important it is to keep a strong password. Another form of cyber attacks are password attacks. This can be done by key logging, dictionary, or a brute force attack. Key logging means that the hacker tracks the keystrokes with software that they've already placed on your computer. With dictionary attacks, the hackers will use a program to try different combinations of dictionary words. A brute force attack is when a hacker tries to guess the password with random entries. And then the next is another popular one that I'm sure we've all heard about, which is phishing. Phishing is nowadays one of the most common forms of cyber attacks. Phishing involves collecting sensitive information by using fake websites that often look legitimate. Most targets are emailed or text with a link to the website, following with a request to enter their data, such as a password or sensitive payment information. With Dynamix Mail Protection, we can automatically protect your email messages against spam, malware, including phishing emails. Ransomware. I'm sure we've all heard this on the news, especially even our own government being held with ransomware. Ransomware falls under the category of malware. It is a piece of software that is installed on your machine. This malicious software will lock you out of your machine until the ransom is paid. Ransomware is one of the fastest growing types of security breaches. At Dynamix, we have desktop tools that are available that protect you from this type of attack. And then the next is zero-day attacks. A zero-day attack are attacks targeted on security flaws in the software and the systems before publishing developers are aware of the issue or have a patch available to correct the faulty code. This can stay undiscovered for months or even years. For every type of cyber attack, there are solutions to best prevent these attacks. Let's split them up and what you can do yourself to limit human error and what businesses can do to enhance their IT and business process to avoid failure. Secure your home Wi-Fi connection. We actually have a webinar that we can provide you with the link to check out some of the best recommended ways to prevent your Wi-Fi connection from being compromised. Next thing is limit program and file access for others. What they mean by that is setting up protocols. If you don't need access to the files, you shouldn't have them. Another way to protect your computer is by enabling full disk encryption on your laptop or desktop. Keep your apps up to date. You know, the reason why they push out those updates is to prevent from people being able to access flaws in the software themselves. You also want to keep others from using your work device. Your work device should only be used by you and for the purpose of that company. You also want to lock your device when not around. This prevents anybody from picking it up if you're not aware of it and accessing the information that you do not want them to. Another good thing is enforcing session timeouts on software. I'm sure we're all familiar with when we've been on our banking sites and all of a sudden when we're not paying attention to it, it starts counting down that it's going to log you out. This is the type of software that enforces session timeouts on the software. And then one of the most important things that we see, especially in this time with the COVID, is you want to dispose of sensitive notes or paperwork on your desk. It's really easy to leave notes and passwords on your home desk, not thinking that anybody's going to be there to see them, but you just never know. And it's common that you could actually just simply put it in the garbage, not realizing that somebody could go through your garbage and retrieve this type of passwords and sensitive information. The next one is email security tips. You never want to respond to unknown emails asking for personal information. You always want to call that banking or facility that's requesting it and confirm that that's actually them requesting that information. You also want to check the sender's email address and check if the email domain is valid. It's very common nowadays for people to spoof that type of information and trick you into thinking it's a legitimate email. And then of course you want to watch for bad links and attachments and check if the URL or domain is valid as well. And then we have something that's even more common nowadays is typos in the email. One of the most common ones that we hear about on a daily basis is people spoofing emails from like Microsoft or Amazon or even PayPal that try to make you think that they're actually receiving it from that company. So once again, you want to contact the sender when in doubt without clicking on links or attachments. And believe me, those companies will be very happy that you did that because that does cost them money as well. And then we have some general security tips. You always want to install trusted antivirus software on all company devices. You always want to have a firewall to office environments to add an extra layer of protection. It's always important to have employees work on the company network, even when they are not in the office. We can help you provide you with a VPN, remote app, and or a desktop connection. And then of course, you always want to have your data backup solution in place just in case you do get something like a ransomware. By having that data backed up, there's no need to pay the ransomware. You can just reinstall from the previous date. And then another good feature that's out there nowadays is enabling multi-factor authentication for company apps. What this does is it gives a second way for the software to notify you, ask you if that's you actually logging into the software or the website, and then you provide them with that authentication code, and then it admits you. Then of course, there's encryption software to protect sensitive data through encryption. It's always good to also implement a password manager for employees. Dynamix has several ways that we can help you do this as well. So you only need to know one password for multiple sites. Then of course, there's implementing security policies and educating your employees. And then of course, once again, you always want to keep the company apps up to date to make sure that that software is patched. With over 22 years of experience in cloud solutions and management, IT, Dynamix can help you with every step of the way to secure your business against cyber attacks. Whether you're looking for advice, cloud solutions, email security, and or network security. If you have any questions or are curious about some of the information that we talked about, please contact salesop@dynamixcloud.com for a free consultation for your company. So at this time, I'd like to take any questions that you might have about the topics we discussed or solutions that we might be able to provide for you. Go ahead. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And then since no one has any questions, I want to thank everyone for coming to our webinar at Dynamix. And everybody have a safe and happy day. Thank you.